Now you're there. Okay. I don't know if there is something you would like to see first today. If you continue a bit with the London book, or
Yeah, I've been reading the London book. I think I should be able to finish it this week. I got through all the Queen B6, C4 line chapters, and so it's almost like half the book left to go, actually. So I
nice.
should be able to. I've been making a lot more progress on that one. Still haven't looked at the Sicilian stuff yet, but I still have like all the notes and everything. So, in terms of against D4, like I remember I said I might want to do Queen's Gambit declined, but what do you think about if I want to go the same approach as the Nidorf, where you just something that where a good memory will help out a lot more than understanding? Do you think it's worth trying to do something like that with D4, or stick with something like Queen's Gambit Decline or the Slav or something like that?
Yeah, the problem with D4 is that I don't think you have something. I mean, maybe the Grunfeld could be an option if you want to have like a very main opening and good, and you don't have any trouble like memorizing lines and studying like that. The
Mm-hmm.
Grunfeld could be a good line. I don't see too many alternatives. It's like I at top level after one e4 you have a lot of options you can play. I mean, you can play Spanish, you can play Berlin defense, you can play the Petrov, you can play a lot of Sicilians, you can play some Calocan, some French. There is a lot of good lines, but after d4, then it's not so easy because well, you can play knight f6 e6. If you do that, you are more or less forced to play Nimzo-Indian after knight c3. After knight f3, I don't know, you can play d5, you have to study knight c3, you have to study the Catalan, and also there you don't have like a very clean way of playing. Like it's very specific every line. Like Catalan is super different to the Nimzo Indian, and knight f3 here, knight c3. Also, you have to decide if you want to play, I don't know, Semislav, Ragozin, Vienna. There is too many lines. I'm thinking that if you want, like, I mean, the most similar to the Neither would be playing the Grunfeld. Grunfeld
Mm-hmm.
is, g6 and d5 before white plays e4. For example, knight c3, d5. This is like the main position. This opening could be. I never played the Grunfeld, so I mean, I know a few things because I face it as white.
Mm-hmm.
But the lines I played, I mean, King's Indian, I don't know. I could recommend you the King's Indian, but there's a lot of lines that could be annoying. Uh, I think a lot of players uh, plays neither and King's Indian. I mean, it's like, and a lot of other players play neither and Grunfeld. For example, MBL, Bashir Lagrave.
Mm-hmm.
He played only neither and only Grunfeld. So he could be like a good model if you want a player like to follow their games, to check the lines he plays. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there is also, as I told you, King's Indian with neither. I can think a lot of guys doing that, but that's already at 27, not 2700, like 2600 FIDE. Uh, our uh, top players are not playing King's Indian, and they don't play neither too much, to be honest. I mean, our top players go e45 most of the times.
Mm-hmm.
But well, neither is definitely a good one. I mean, Giri plays neither, and Bashir Lagrave. The neither is doing very good. And against e4, I believe the best advice I could give you would be Grunfeld. Like if you want to study a new line and something you can fight, something you can study theory and do a similar work to the neither, the Grunfeld would be fine. I don't think
Okay.
all this system with d5 e6 or d5 c6 will be too ambitious, right? Because yes, maybe this is a good way to play for equality, but then it's hard to create imbalances. The Grunfeld already you are creating a position like this, is like the main line, right? Where I mean, you don't have center, but you can attack the center, and in many lines you have a good endgame, right? Because the pawns against these two, when you play c5, they go d5, you already get a 3 versus 2, which can be interesting. And there is a
Mhm.
lot of good material on the Grunfeld. Uh, maybe you could take a look at that one.
Yeah.
Then, okay, about the London. I don't know if the things you read these last days. Is there any question, any line you remember checking, and something you don't understand? What can you tell me?
Um, no, I don't really have any questions on it yet. I think like if I just once I start playing games and encountering some of the lines, then I think it'll be more clear what kind of things I need more clarification on. But for now, I think it's okay. And I still haven't gotten to the point where, because I think the other book is when they go knight f6 first. Because right now I'm
Hmm.
still like I went through the Carol composition where you exchange, and then I looked at the ones where they went queen b6 early, like we looked at in the last lesson, and went c4, and they went over like a lot of the games where they go bishop f5, where that's like a mistake sometimes because people get it mixed up with the other line.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like where I'm at.
And did you see? Maybe you didn't get yet to that part, but the lines where they play e6 is what you should probably get soon, right? This
Yeah,
move
for
followed by bishop
this,
d6.
yeah, for this, I know I don't know if I got to the chapter, but I know I go like bishop d3 here, and there are some lines that I did look at for this.
Uh-huh. So bishop d6, what's your idea? If you play bishop d3.
I think that's the one where I take the bishop and go f4. There's like a
Exactly.
Kramnik game. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. I'm saying this because if you do this and you don't play takes f4, you will be in trouble because black is playing e5 immediately, right? And when they play e5, black is already okay. I mean, it looks like I like to say that black is already white in this position, right? This looks like a white position against Caro-Kann, against Scandinavian, against Slav. They get the center, and black is at least equal here. Uh, but f4, the only problem of f4 is that, well, we would like to take with this pawn, right? In general, this would be better, but we will under f4.
Yeah.
So we have to take with this one, but this is also very reasonable for white. The knight will come, and in general, makes a lot of sense to play a stonewall when we already trade our bad bishop, right? Uh, I remember there was I mean, there is an Argentinian GM that he was playing sometimes c3 in move one, and well, it looks ridiculous, and it's probably a bad move. Not a bad move, but not the best for sure. What he was trying to do was to play d4, bishop c5 after more or less everything. I mean, he was doing this, and then he was playing e3, knight e2. At some point, he was trading this bishop and playing f4. So, from a positional point of view, he was getting the stone wall with this bishop trade, right? Much worse would be playing this and this to get the stone wall, because then your bishop is a disaster. And sometimes you can, like in a position like this, let's move something random. You would like to play bishop, bishop, bishop. Oh, bishop here. But if you start with this trade already there, then it's super interesting to play Stonewall. And this is why in this position, bishop d3 makes a lot of sense. If you're playing the order where with the knight still on g1, you can do this, of course.
Mhm.
Uh, this depends of a lot of things, right? So, I don't know. Some players go knight f3 here, and then they don't have this chance here. And this is also not bad. I mean, in this position, we go bishop c3, and it's fine. Uh, there's a lot of theory, and I think Carlsen even plays this a lot. So yeah, maybe I could show you a few things in this line, but it depends, right? Because if you will try playing with bishop d3 and knight g1, maybe you won't get this. But also they can do. Like imagine another order could be this. You play e3 here, knight e2, and they go bishop d6. And in this position, what do you think you would do as white?
I think I would probably go bishop g3.
Yeah, and in that line, you probably end up transposing to the main line, right? And also, when they go bishop d6, they are trying to play a very nice order, which is playing c5. You will play knight f3 or bishop d3, and doesn't matter. And now they play queen c7. So why is queen c7 so good? Because the knight's still on b8. Um, what happens? Usually, we have this position, right? And queen c7 is just blundering the pawn because you can retake because of the queen. But if you go queen c7 here, after bishop d3, you knight bd7, you will play e5 next move, right? And it's very, very annoying for white. We are getting the position we don't want. So what people do is pawn takes, but then queen takes. And black still goes knight e7, e5. And if black plays e5 in good conditions, black is already equalizing. So I believe this line is another very, very critical attempt. And probably your solution is, I mean, if you will play this line with f4, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they play this order, for example, here, e6 and bishop d6, what white is usually doing here is allowing bishop takes f4. How? Well, knight f3 or bishop d3, doesn't really matter the order, but the point is you will play e takes f4 and there's no problem with that. So imagine you go knight f3. If they take, you take. If they go queen d6, attacking the pawn, you will go g3, right? You can blunder the pawn, and knight e5, I think you are not ready because of queen b4 or c5, things like this could be annoying. But we go g3. Now, the plan is very nice. I mean, when they play c5, most of the times, sometimes we can go c3, right? But most of the times we want to take. And what's the idea? We will put the d2 knight on d4 and this knight on e5, like this and this. And when they attack f4, we go g3. So a line could be this, bishop d3. I don't know, queen d6, we go g3. And if they go c5, we take, right? And here we castle, for example. And then this knight goes to b3 and d4, and this knight goes to e5.
Mm-hmm.
You could do this, rook e1, knight e5. And black's position is bad because of the bishop on c8. Uh, so I don't know if Sedlak is analyzing some of these orders. There's also a few players that just take c and go c4, but this is like leaving the London. This is also very reasonable to play here or here. But I don't like that this looks more like a Queen's Gambit and not a London, right? So I would try to go for the approach of just playing knight f3 here. And when I was black, I had the feeling the best plan was taking the bishop, yes, right, then castle bishop d3, and now instead of playing c5, because I believe d takes c5 is really good for white, right? What other move do you see for black here? What would be typical, or what would be interesting instead of c5 immediately?
Um, not sure. Yeah, because like 94 just loses material. Um, knight, wait, maybe knight b d7, and then, because you said instead of c5,
Hmm.
or
Yeah,
maybe,
maybe it could be a move. I believe the problem after c5 is again pawn takes, right? Because this bishop is the problem, and you have to find a way to solve that, right? To make this position playable, let's say.
well, for that I would do like b6, and then maybe look at bishop a6.
Yeah, basically b6 is very nice because prepares this move, right? And also now after c5 takes is not gonna be so interesting when they take with a pawn, right? So here is where I'm not sure. I mean, white is probably still better after something like castle. I think c5 or bishop a6 both are reasonable. And white will play something like takes the bishop, queen e2, bring the rook, go 95. Um, so after this, usually uh, we can ignore this or play c3. I don't think taking is gonna be good when they take with the pawn because bishop a6 is coming, queen b6, a lot of pressure, and so on. We could play c3, we could play rook e1, we could play 95, I believe. But the thing is, after bishop a6, usually we will just take a bit. There is another attempt that is doing this. That could be reasonable. I think it's a bit complicated, but this could be interesting. Uh, in any case, I believe just taking, I don't know, going queen e2, rook 81, c3, 95 should be slightly better for white. But this is probably one of the best things black can do as well. Uh, but we don't have to try this move, for example, stopping bishop a6, because here there is a typical move for black that works well. How can you try playing bishop a6 anyway?
A5, and then
a5 at
bishop
some point
a6.
could be here immediately, could be c5, c3, a5, right? But the point is understanding that we won't avoid bishop a6, so queen e2 is like not really very useful right now. Something
Mhm.
like this could be the best. And then they go bishop a6, and anyway, this position is like player, right? This is kind of equal. I don't know if we can play a4 blocking, if we just go rook and 95. The type of position is going to be the same. Black is probably going to try 97, 98, 96. Ideally, this knight should come to d6. And that's like the best setup for black. Uh, but yeah, that's more or less, that's the way you could avoid the main line actually, right? Because if bishop d6, you keep the bishop, and if they do the other order, where do I put it? Here, you can just take and go f4, which is very reasonable. Uh, if not, if we go for the main line, last thing I want to mention here is that if they castle, bishop d3 is the main line by far. Um, but and that's probably what the book will recommend, right? But I believe black has many ways of playing after this, and even though it's playable, there is a much better move that Carlsen tried. After this, the main problem is that after b6, which is the best move, we could play e4, right? Um, and after e4, if they takes and takes, this is surprisingly bad for black already because you are kind of forced to take. You have to defend the knight. Then I go queen a4 attacking. Imagine takes here. I can do pawn takes, and here you are blundering something almost. If you takes, I'm attacking a7. If you do this, I can go queen a4. Now you have to be careful where you go with the queen, right? Because if at some point I go rook d1 and you leave this diagonal, maybe bishop a7 is winning and queen h4 and g5. So this is super risky. But the problem is after e4, black has a very typical move, bishop e7, right? Now what's the problem? They are trying to play e5 knight h5, not to take the bishop immediately, but only to take the bishop when we castle, right? There is a lot
Mhm.
of games in this position actually. I think Nakamura played as black this many times. Then white started trying a few different lines. Queen e2 to play rook d1, knight e5. There is knight e5 here, which is very aggressive. Queen c7, forcing f4, and then bishop b7. And black did a really nice plan here of playing knight e7. Let's just move it. I don't know, you play something here, doesn't really matter what, queen f3, we go knight f5. And the next idea is bishop e7, knight e6. And then it's like we are controlling all these squares. Eventually, black will be attacking on the queen side, but first we need to stop the counterplay in the center. So something like this, bishop here, g4, knight here, g5, knight here is super, super good for black. Um, so the last attempt, and the only one that I believe white could try here is queen e2. This move is very interesting. And after this, we go rook d1. If you take a look at the book, they will talk about this line. I think Kamsky was the one playing like this. This could be reasonable. Still, I don't believe it's better than the move I want to recommend you, which is bishop b5 here. Bishop b5 here is super interesting because, well, what we're trying to do, and maybe I should copy some game, but first I want to show you the main ideas. If they play a6, for example, that this is the first question we should have. What happens if we do this and they attack the bishop? Do we want to take? And the answer here is yes. We want to take because we want to play against the c8 bishop again. How do we do this? We go queen a4, right? We attack the pawn. If you defend the pawn, I can take the bishop and go queen a3, right? And win this pawn. For example, you go queen c7, I takes, queen a3. You defend, I attack, and I win the pawn. This is like the most basic idea, but it's more deep than this because they can just take here first, then we takes, and takes. And this pawn is super weak, right? We will play rook c1, we will go 95, we will go knight b3, knight c5, and this bishop is horrible. So I believe the move bishop b5 is super interesting. Uh, there's a famous game, Carlsen against Anand, that they play this position, and after queen a4, it's in the World Rapid Championship, and Carlsen wins like in 25 moves. He just win this pawn eventually and win the game
Mhm.
very easily. So after bishop e5, people started playing 97 to avoid this, right? And this is why I show you first that here b6, e4 people go bishop e7, right? This is the if you check with engine this position, bishop e7 is by far the best move. But if we go bishop e5, 97, bishop d3, b6, we go e4 now, right? And you don't have bishop e7. And this is actually quite bad for black already. And there is a game, something like I will just copy because I follow a game online, but there is Carlsen against Bosiosic at
Mhm.
2600 GM. Carlsen Bos. Do you want to download this so I copy again?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so the game is this one. So let's see the order. He went bishop f4 immediately, e3, c3, knight e2. After this, you can see he went knight gf3, right? He didn't want to play bishop d3 takes f4. I don't know why. Maybe he believed this bishop e5 is better. But in any case, there is a tactic that I did the same 16 moves. Bishop b5, knight e7. He goes back. After b6, e4. Now takes. He takes and go rook b8. And this position is kind of losing for black because we have the same tactic always. We can take c5. We attack the bishop. if you take, I take with the h pawn and I attack a7, right? So d takes, bishop g3, a takes g3. He went f5. Um, Maybe it's better to play takes first, and after this f5, right? And this position, which surprisingly is kind of losing for black. I mean, the computer evaluation is almost winning 1.5 here, which is not so clear if you ask me. But the thing is, we go bishop c4. We want to play 95 or 95, and it's not so easy to defend. But this guy went f5 immediately, which is losing because of this very nice tactic, right? He takes the queen, and the move black probably missed was c6 here. And then if you take the bishop, I go c7. So
Hmm.
after this move, the game is just over. I mean, they continue for a bit. It's rapid or blitz, I don't remember. But once this happened, of course, there is nothing to. But this bishop b5 move, I believe is super interesting. Like, and Carlsen did many times. There is Carlsen Anand as well. Um, I wonder if I can copy here without removing the. I think.
Hmm. I saved it anyway, but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
I
it
will
might.
do it like
Yeah.
before. But there's probably a way, and I don't know. Um, so the game I wanted to copy is Doha. Yeah, it's also Blitz, but the idea is just very nice. Oh, what happened? Again, he goes bishop f4 first, e3, c3, 92, and here he goes knight gf3. I don't know if because of these two games we can assume that he doesn't like this idea because he never played it, or he just prefers this for some reason. Bishop g3 here, bishop e5. Right, so a6 is a mistake, and it's surprising that Anand makes a mistake in move 8 of a London, right? But this bishop e5 wasn't very popular. These two games are from 2016,
Hmm.
5 years ago. Nowadays, I believe bishop e5 is very popular. No one will be surprised by bishop e5 compared to bishop d3. So he takes, he goes queen a4. After rook b8, he goes queen a3. Right, same tactic than before. So he takes. C takes. Now we always take with the c pawn because we want to attack c6. After a5, he castle before this happens, right? Bishop here, bishop a6, rook f c1. And this position is just losing for black. I mean, it's losing because we will double rooks. We will play 95, and then c6 will be in big trouble. I mean, eventually, if you play bishop b5, we can even go queen c5, takes, and try to play a4, right? The knight defending b3. c6 will hang, and when we take c6, it's only us playing for the win. So this is a blitz, and it was even worse because after 97, queen d6, he just take the pawn, and then he even take the two pieces, and black resigns. Maybe too fast, maybe not. It's losing for sure, but if you see Anand losing like this, it's probably because this bishop b5 move took him by surprise, right? Um,
Hmm.
and it's surprising, but nowadays, I mean, since this move is not too too much of a surprise right now, the best move for luck is what I mean. If you check 1 second with the engine, you will see what's the best move for luck. But it's very surprising, and it's bishop e7. Not a move that anyone would play. I mean, if you play bishop here, bishop e5, and now you go bishop e7, it's a bit strange to me. Like I wouldn't expect many players going bishop e7. Um, but what's the thing? If we try to take now and go queen a4 and all these things, this is right because we are not trading this bishop. So they can, I don't know, go queen b6, even try to take and go c5 quickly, right? That's the main idea. If they can do that, would be very annoying. Maybe I go bishop d7 and then I play c5, but the thing is I have this bishop supporting c5. Without this trade, all this is just really bad. So
Mhm.
what people do after this, there's many moves actually. I don't know what's the best, because castle black wants to play queen b6, and also knight h5. I don't know what's the best. Knight h5 is taking the bishop. This is usually good for them. If we go h3, they want to play queen b6, attacking the bishop, attacking the b2 pawn. And if we do queen a4 or a4 or whatever, at some point they go a6. I don't know if they take or not first, but this is quite annoying, because we will have to take, and now I believe they should always take with the pawn, trying to take and go c5 again, right? If we don't have the two bishops, they do, it could be annoying. So I believe after bishop e7, I would play something like rook b1. Uh, Even d takes c5 is reasonable, queen c2 is reasonable, but I want to do this. Why? Because I want to do a few things. I want to defend b2, right? But also after knight h5, I don't want to be castle, right? I want to go bishop d3 here, even knight e5 at some point, forcing this so my rook's still on the h file. I don't know. For example, here bishop takes, pawn takes, knight e5 is very reasonable, and good for us. So I don't know if this rook b1 is very popular or not. Let me check. Bishop e5, bishop e7 is the best move, and rook b1 not very popular. Uh, there's only two games. No, it's not. They just go bishop d7 there. The move people play more is bishop d3, similar to knight e7. For example, Kamsky. Uh, there is Carlsen Pepe Cuenca. Interesting. He went 95, but it doesn't look so good actually. Looks more like Carlsen won because he's Carlsen. No, he got a really bad position in that game. But I believe this bishop e7 is the move that if black knows the position, they will play this move. Then we can go bishop d3 or d takes c5. I mean, those two should be good. And for some reason, what do we play here? I'm checking that after this knight h5, people is playing knight e5, which makes sense. There is also knight g5 that could be interesting, right? When we are not castle, we have some tactics, but this move feels okay. And after this, people goes f4. And okay, very aggressive position. We can castle queens, and eventually, if you take, we will have a lot of attack. And if you don't take, we can go bishop f2 and even castle this way, right? Um, but yes, bishop e7 is the move. Everything else, I believe it's super reasonable. Let me see the score. Bishop b5 scores much better than bishop d3. And in this position, I'm checking knight e7 is the main move in classical games, with 65% for white after bishop d3, which is, I mean, it's super good. Then the second most popular move is a6, which is also a mistake, right? Because then we take and queen a4. So it's very interesting that only the third option is bishop e7, and this is 51% for white, which is showing that bishop e7 is the best way for black, right? Then what else do they play? Bishop c3 is really bad. Queen e7, c takes e4. All these moves are not ideal. Queen c7. Now the only move that I would be afraid here is bishop e7, because they want to play queen b6, right? And they don't open this. And then, well, we can go back with the bishop and play this position. This seems reasonable. This seems like the way maybe white wants to play if they face bishop e7. But the two most popular lines, knight e7, bishop d3, b6 e4 is one idea, right? And the other one is a6 takes queen a4. It's super nice for white. So maybe I would tell you don't pay too much attention on Sedlak book to the chapters to bishop d3. And if you check this one, try to see only queen e2, right? Queen e2, rook d1. This is also something really valid, but don't lose time with with e4 or knight e5 because these two moves are just uh, equal, right? There's if black knows what they do,
Mhm.
they get a really good position. But queen e2, rook d1, I would play something like this in a game. I'm much more uh, happy, let's say, playing bishop b5 than bishop d3. Uh, and then, well, again, if they play this order, you could play knight f3, knight e2. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, playing bishop g3 will lead to this position where they go c5, queen c7, knight b7, and e5. So if they go bishop d6, immediately maybe we should keep the bishop here. And I was just checking that there is a very recent game, Carlsen Allen, um, that he allows. Okay, this game, for example, I will copy something new. Okay,
Mhm.
uh, this is 2019, also rapid game, but to see what Carlsen do against this order, right? He goes knight e2, right? He allows black to take the bishop. Black goes queen d6. He defends. Now after c5, very important to understand this. We have to take, right? We don't play c3 in this one. We want to take and put the two knights on I mean b3, d4, and then this one to e5. But black goes b6, the right way to play. Now c3, tricky move, right? Because bishop a6 blunders because of queen a4. So he castle first, bishop d3, bishop a6. And now this position, I believe it's more or less equal. It's nice if we can play queen e2, attacking the knight when black didn't play c5 yet. So maybe if you ask me, I believe black should play c5 first. Why? Because after castle, bishop a6, takes, queen e2, they can play knight c7, which is sometimes good, sometimes not. But ideally, we would like to bring this knight to d6. Oh, misclick. So the idea would be knight c7, move the queen, knight e8, knight d6. Anyway, this is what's happening in the game. He castle. Okay, no. Castle. Now f6. He goes knight g4. This game is probably okay for black. Like he took. I don't like too much taking. And f5, I don't know, but well, he got a position like this. You can see this is probably best play for both. Like going bishop d6 immediately and playing b65, bishop a6. Against this, I don't believe white has like something super good, but still, um, it's the way we should play. Let me see if there is something more recent. So knight e2, bishop d3, takes b6. Yeah, that's the best position. Like maybe not even queen d6. I believe b6 or castle bishop d3, b6. I believe this position should be the most critical. And now I'm checking. For example, we have Duda video long game. Gukesh also went queen e2. Tang went queen e2. Okay, for some reason a lot of players going queen e2 here. And black just reacting with a5 at some point, right? But all the games white won. Actually, queen e2 is by far the most popular move. I would believe that castle is just better. But I don't know, maybe not. Let me select some of these games. Okay, but they can easily. Ah, no, because I was thinking, what if they go b6 here, right? Or castle bishop d3 b6. And well, people goes queen e2 here as well. So maybe we want to provoke a5. That is Carlsen Andrew Tang in a bullet. Okay, I will copy something.
Okay.
So he went queen e2 here, you can see. c5, c6, a5. Now we can't. Ah, but we can. This seems to be wrong because we have takes e4. This is very important actually because you can't take, right, because in the end you will be blundering the rook or the mate, and if you move the queen, I go e5, and this is. Uh, I mean, maybe still good for him. We can go bishop, bishop a4. This is like a typical idea, and they take pawn takes, so we play against the two knights. We can just castle and trade, but he went knight e5. He keeps the bishop, and then he takes, and he goes bishop g5 and f4. Okay, looks very interesting actually. Uh, okay, he went for this position. That should be fine. And then castle one. It's a blitz. So yeah, but at this point, black is just fine. I mean, this didn't go so well for white. But this is the feeling I have, right? This is the best black can do in the bishop d6. Here, very interesting. Another game from Reyev. This is a classical game, so I believe could be more important. After b6, he goes bishop g5. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but definitely something he prepared. Yeah, this could be quite annoying. A position like this where you have some weaknesses. You will castle. Uh, you will make moves like this, annoying the pieces. Looks more like a. I mean, I see this position and it could looks like a Caro-Kann or a French, a Rubinstein, not like a London to be honest, but could be could be a way of playing, right? I mean, but I believe this bishop d6 is one of the best attempts black has, uh, especially when e6 is already played, right? Because also in this position c5, knight c6, queen b6 is super interesting, and this is why I mean people also plays bishop f4 a lot. Um,
Mhm.
then let me check 1 second the book because I don't remember what else he's covering. Sedlak, London. This is the number one, right? Yes. So I'm checking the index, and you read more or less half of the.
Yeah, like at least do like chapter two, which is maybe like close to 40%, but like I'm pretty sure I
Ah,
should be able
yes,
to get
yes, I
through.
see. Like 70 pages of 210, something like that.
Hmm.
Okay, yes. Then chapter 3 says classical setup without e6, and then it says classical setup with e6. Chapter
Hmm.
4 is more or less what I told you, and then chapter 5 when it says early e6, I'm pretty sure it's talking about something like this, right? Early e6 is probably playing e6 bishop d6 without moving this. Why it's important to do it like immediately? Because imagine we have this position, you go c5 first, right? I go c3, and then you go bishop d6. In this position, we can go bishop b5 check, right? And we kinda transpose to the line we want to play because these two moves are just not possible, right? You will take d6 and c5 when they take the bishop. If bishop d7, we take and take, and we are winning. So they have to play e6, bishop d6, And the two ideas I recommend you is after bishop d6, keep the bishop here, and if they play the normal line, if you want to go bishop d3, do it for queen e2 and rook d1. But bishop b5 here is better. I don't know. This book is 2016. It's not super new, so maybe bishop b5 won't be covered, but it is super interesting.
Hmm.
And then the rest, he says Slav setup, Grunfeld setup, Queen's Gambit setup, Chigorin setup. Yeah, he's covering more or less sidelines, let's say. And then chapter 10 is typical endgames. We saw some of these things, right? Like, for example, uh, I see the first game he's covering is an endgame like this. I mean, we already know that this type of endgame is bad. I mean, he calls endgame already when we trade the queen. I don't know if I would call endgame already. Then there is game two is Kramnik Grandelius. The bishop takes d6 f4 line.
Hmm.
So that one is interesting. He commentates a few things. Then yeah, then there are some other positions where, for example, he gets an structure like this, right? How to play against these two pawns, which is considered to be really good for white. Remember, the two pawns are good when they play c4, right? Not when they trade. Then what else he's covering? No, okay. It's only how many games? It's one, two, three, three games only. So yeah, it's gonna be a good. You will have a very nice idea of the the London in general. But the next chapters, besides what we talked today with e6, bishop d6, or e6, e5, and bishop d6 later, he's covering a Slav setup that you know that when they go bishop f5, your first thinking should be, okay, when I'm playing queen b3. Because if he went bishop f5, b7 is hanging, and queen b3 is going to be annoying. And then uh, the one I'm more curious, because I don't remember too much what he says, is the Grunfeld setup. So Grunfeld setup, he should be probably covering. I mean, in this, if in this position black goes g6, and right now, I guess it's more or less known that this Grunfeld setup is not very good against the London, right? Because uh, I mean, there are some lines black can play, but in general, Fianchetto against this, we just go here, here. I believe I'm happy to play as white. We can go h3. I castle knight h5 is always tricky. I believe him. We might play castle, but we have a position that is like this, for example, or knight b7, knight b2 first to react with queen b3. That black goes knight d7, right? And they want to play e5. This is the most annoying thing. And I remember a friend was playing castle, allowing knight h5, also c5, c3, knight c6, knight b2, not playing h3 basically. The idea was that after knight h5, he was playing bishop g5. So typical continuation is a6, bishop h4, g5, right? Otherwise, this makes no sense. We have to go for the bishop. And now, which moves do you think white can do here?
Knight takes g5. I
Knight takes
think that's.
g5, pawn takes, right? And then pawn takes.
Oh yeah. Or at least that would have been the first one I'd look at because that was a similar thing in something else. But as a normal move would just be bishop g3. But outside of that, Um, I don't know if knight e5 helps, because it might.
95, I believe he will take on e5. D takes e5, g takes h4, bishop h5, bishop takes e5. That's the position. I believe we are just losing the d4 pawn. Black also gets
Hmm.
two bishops. Uh, yeah, I don't like 95 too much. But the idea is
Is
correct. I mean, we can do the same without losing the pawn with knight e1.
mhm.
So in many lines, I mean, this happens in a lot of situations where they go a6, g5, and they attack the bishop. We are not forced to play bishop g5 here, right? Because this knight is always a target. Sometimes we have 92, sometimes we have 91, sometimes 95, right? Here only 91 works. Uh, but if we play 91 and they take and we take, I believe we are doing super fine as white. This pawn is going to be weak. h3 we will go g3, right? As long as we have this bishop, this pawn on h3 won't do anything. And in the future, we might try to trade, try to go for this pawn, right? Um, so the problem is something very, very computerish, but it's not like a big problem actually. Because here the computer says the best move is c takes d4. An intermediate move that is quite annoying because now if we take the knight, what do you think black will play?
Um, at some point, I'm guessing d takes c3.
Hmm.
Trying to see, are they doing that now, or do they take the h4 bishop? Well, I guess they would have, if they're gonna do it, they would have to do it
Yeah, I mean if you
soon.
take the bishop, white will take on d4. So it's like your chance to do it here. I don't know which one is better, to be honest. I believe both are very good. And, well, it doesn't really matter because black gets a good position with both. So bishop h5 is a big mistake. Um, and here, if we take with the c pawn, a typical move by black here is playing knight f4. So why knight f4? Because it's more or less like this. If we will take the bishop, we want to decide where we will lose the knight. If we lose it here, well, our pawn structure is very bad as black, right? But if we play knight f4, you have to take the knight, and now I take d4 is super weak, right?
Mhm.
So if we go bishop g3, you will take, takes, I know, go bishop f5, rook c8, queen b6, e5. The two bishops are good, but, well, this is probably playable. But my friend game was different. He went e takes d. And I believe this is super interesting to play for white. Like probably if I get this position against this setup, I just go knight e7, castle c3, and play this, right? Knight e7 and no, sorry, no h3. Where is it? Here, castle c5, c3, knight c6, knight e7, knight e2. Here we do all this. We go 91, and after c takes, we take with the e pawn, and after knight f4, we just go bishop g3. So why this? Because this is covering e5 much better, right? We can go knight e3, knight f3, and put this knight here, rook e1. And this pawn structure is super, super solid. After this, we can just go knight e3, right? Or even knight f3. It doesn't matter. We have this pawn defended in many ways.
Mhm.
And this position, the computers is equal, but it's like an equality I prefer to be white, if you ask me. Why? Because um, it's like too overextended for black's king side, right? We can go h4 many times, creating weaknesses. Right now, we only need to defend the pawns, and here we can go knight f3. We can even go rook d1, rook e1, uh, something like this. Like if you want to take this pawn, I will. I don't know if I go rook b1, rook b7 at least. I can also go h4 at some point, trying to provoke moves like this. Uh, but well, objectively speaking, it's equal. And but I don't think h3 is like improving too much in the sense that 97 and e5 is more or less uh, not equalizing entirely because d5 is kind of weak. I remember this position, knight f3, and this position is not too easy. Like this is not equal completely because now d5 is weak and we can attack it very quickly. I believe Mamediaro was playing knight c6 in this position, and after queen b3 he was playing c4. And okay, still should be better for white, but I don't know. They don't have to play e5 too quickly as well. They can go like uh, p6, for example, right? We do this, they go bishop e7, and at some point they go this and e5. That's the plan we have to be afraid of. Uh, but we have the two alternatives, right? Playing h3 or not. I believe both are interesting. And it's more like a personal taste if the the equal position after all this crazy line with takes here. This position, you like it or not for white? If you don't, well, then you have to play h3 and get a position like this, which is also reasonable, right? This is quite annoying for black. The queen b3 and rook fd1 is coming, and well, you have to solve some some issues.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know. Any question about this? Well, it would be great if you can take a look at the rest of the book. But as I said in the chapters about e6, don't waste too much time on. He's coding a lot of lines that nowadays we know they are just not working. So
Okay.
try to focus on uh, the bishop b5 that Carlsen plays, or the bishop d3, queen e2, rook d1 that Kamsky plays, but not the rest. Okay.
Okay. Um, yeah, I don't have any questions about this for now. I finished the book, at least like that first set lag book, by next time for sure, and be able to go from there. I
Yeah,
kind
we
of
can probably
started. Yeah.
take a. I can also send you some things on the Grunfeld, but I don't want to give you like a lot of things. If I mean, let's go in
Mhm.
order. Maybe we finish the London next week, and then we do some neither, and then we see about d4 because I mean right now you can keep playing what you play against d4 and try to go in order, not to study altogether because you won't finish anything doing that.
Mhm.
Uh, just to know that the Grunfeld could be a good alternative, but I would tell you let's do London, then neither, and then we think about d4.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it for today.
Yeah.
Any question, write me. Don't wait till next Sunday. So no problem about
Hmm.
that. If you
Yeah.
are reading a chapter or something you want to ask me, write me. I always check Skype, so no problem. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
See you
Thanks.
next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.